Hello, everyone. We have a lot to cover, so we will get started. Welcome to one of our webinars in our series, AI in 30 minutes. And today we're going to talk about AI-generated Zoom meetings, meeting summaries, as well as meeting assistants. So just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have some thoughts or resources you want to share with others that are attending, please put that information in the chat. If you have questions for Robbie or I, please put that in the Q&A. We'll try to get to them. If not, we'll look at them at the end. The slides that we're sharing today will be sent to everyone who attends. And also, if you want captions turned on, you can click the show caption on the toolbar below. All right, a little bit about us. Not everybody here is from TC, so I will just tell you that Robbie and I are from Teachers College, which is part of Columbia University. I am in the Digital Futures Department, which is part of Teachers College. I'm the Director of Academic Technology. My name is Debbie Beaudry. Robbie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robbie Berry. I'm the Associate Director of Digital Accessibility and Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services. I'm from the Office of Access and Services for Individuals with Disabilities, also known as OASID.
Thank you, Robbie. Okay, just tell you a little bit about our agenda. First, we'll talk about what are AI meeting assistants and AI summaries, because they kind of go hand in hand. So we need to talk about both. We'll talk about the AI meeting assistants that are available here at TC, some of the benefits and challenges, and some guidelines for use.
All right, so yeah, thank you, Debbie. So what can meeting assistants do? So meeting assistants can create a real-time transcription. They can add screenshots to your meeting and to your transcript meeting. And they can send that transcript and that audio to everyone who is invited to your meeting if you enable that option in your settings. So what else can assistants do? Well, they can provide you a summary with links to that audio transcript if you enable that setting as well. And they automatically join your Zoom meetings on your calendar, even if you don't enable it. So they can also answer questions within the meeting if you use that function.
So we talked about some of the features that it has, and it depends on which meeting assistant that you're using. So we'll talk about each of these in more detail. Right now, what we have for meeting assistants at TC is in Zoom, in the TC Zoom account that everybody has. We have something called AI Companion and the Smart Recordings, and both of those provide you with meeting summaries along with other AI features. Otter AI is also available to individuals who have registered with OASID, who have an eligible accommodation. And just be aware, though, TC does provide an Otter AI account for people who require an accommodation, but anyone can sign up for an Otter AI account on their own. And we have seen that people do that, but just so you know that Otter AI is not approved for general use here at TC. So let's talk about the two ways that you can get a meeting summary in your Zoom account. This is with your TC Zoom account as it stands right now. So when you're doing a recording, you can turn on something called a smart recording, which gives you a meeting summary, but also some other pieces that go along with it. You'll get a transcript, the summary, it will divide your recording into chapters, and it will generate a list of next steps. So I have an example for you. My colleague Delcy and I just made a script of some pretend meeting that we had, and we used the smart recording. So you'll have this when we share the slides, and you can get to it too. So let me just share the recording. You're going to have to put in a super secret password here. Oops, sorry. I have to go back here to get the password. Here we go. And now you can watch the recording.
Did you have a good weekend?
Okay, I'm gonna turn off the audio so I can explain what's happening here, but people will obviously get the recording with the audio. So what is generated with the AI smart recording is you get a transcript that's going down the side here. So this is AI generated, the transcript, and it'll scroll down as it's going through. It also generates a summary here. Now, the meeting that Delcy and I did was just 8 minutes, so there's not a lot to summarize here. But it also will give you like a short summary and then a longer summary below that. You can also jump, it puts chapters in here depending on if you switch topics. So you can jump ahead to a different section in the recording. So just be aware that if you do a smart recording, you can share the link to that smart recording with anyone. But you can also edit these. So you can go in here and you can edit parts of this. Right now, I'm not in as the host, but if I was in as a host, I would have a little bit of an editing icon. A pencil would come up so I could change this. And that's something that I highly recommend because AI is not always accurate for these types of things. The other option, let me just flip into this version. There you go. The other option is to turn on the Zoom AI companion. So you don't need a recording for this. You don't need to record the session. But what the AI companion will do, it will answer questions for anybody who's in the meeting. So the AI is processing everything that's being said in the meeting. And so if you're talking about budgets, anyone in the meeting can ask the AI, what was said about the budget from 2024, and the AI will respond. So you might have noticed it on your Zoom, TC Zoom account. It's this little icon, they call it the sparkle. The AI companion sparkle that's on. And if you're the host, you can control it. You control whether it's available to people or not. You can stop the conversation for the AI so that people can't chat with the AI to ask questions. The other thing you can do is you can set the AI companion to send an email summary to everybody who attended the meeting or just to you. The default that we have it set up now at TC is that the meeting summary email will be sent to the host only. And that is something we would recommend that you keep it that way. And this is an example from that pretend meeting that Delcy and I did. This is what it emailed to me. It's a quick recap, next steps, the summary, which is, if it's a longer meeting, generally the quick recap is short and the summary is longer. Oops, I have to stop moving my mouse. But also when you get the email, you notice that you could share the summary. So you can click share and it'll give you a space where you can put email addresses in and it will send this to whomever you want. And then you can also click edit. So if you click edit, it will take you back into Zoom. If you are the host, you can go back into Zoom and you can edit this, which is again, something I highly recommend that before you send this to anybody that you read it through and that you edit it to make sure that it's accurate and it doesn't have anything in it that you wouldn't want other people to see. I also just want to point out, I forgot to point this out in the other one, that in the companion and in the summaries, it just had my name, my first name, and Delcy's first name. That's because when we went into Zoom, when we first got into the meeting, we took our last names out of, you know, how you can rename yourself. And I think that that's a smart thing to do if you're doing any of these, because you don't necessarily want your full name out there. Okay. All righty, Robbie.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about Otter AI and the features that are included in the meetings. And thank you, Debbie, for talking about reviewing your summaries and looking for accuracies. That is really important. AI is amazing. We all know the different features that AI has now, but let's remember that it is a computer computing this information, and that we as humans need to do a review of this information for accuracy. So Otter AI is a note-taking app. It's a real-time transcription. It does allow for speaker identification if you've signed in and have your name attached to the account. These transcripts are searchable after the meeting, and there is a summary of keywords and word clouds that they generate. And here is a picture here. It's a screenshot of an autopilot window in Zoom. And you can see that there's someone's name there. It says Abigail's autopilot. So when you join the Zoom, you will see that your autopilot has also joined with a window that has your name and your autopilot. So if you've joined a meeting and you don't necessarily want people to know that that's your autopilot, you can go in and change the name of the autopilot. So here we have Otter AI demo. I'm just going to show you what comes in afterwards. So this came from a talk by President Bailey. He was talking, giving a speech, and what happened afterwards was this summary that we have here. It says, Speaker 1, the president of Teachers College, reflects on the institution's significance in his life and shared commitment to education, and it goes on. So that's a summary that was given after a transcript was made from his speech. So Otter AI can give you a transcript, but it also can give you an overview or a summary of what happened during that meeting. So AI meeting assistants, the benefits of them are they are accommodations for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing or who need assistance with note taking. The meeting transcripts and recordings can be helpful for English language learners as well. And to receive the content of a Zoom meeting, you can get that without actually attending the meeting. That is not something that we usually give that accommodation for. If you would like a summary of the meeting, as I just showed you, you can also get that summary. And if you want to look back at what the action items are, the transcript and the summary are generated, as well as some action items. So what are some challenges? So the transcript issues are not always accurate. And if that is the only thing that people have access to, that maybe the transcript and not the recording, then sometimes it can be troublesome if it looks like you were talking only about the weather during your meeting and maybe not talking about in-depth things. So sometimes it can be tricky if the transcript's not very accurate, or if it's naming things differently than what the actual name of something is. If it's saying TC as SEE instead of capital C, it's actually more accurate than that. But there are some times when the AI is not quite accurate. There are privacy concerns. The user controls can be difficult. You may not want your notes to go out to everyone who accepted the calendar invite, but if you don't have that enabled correctly, it can go to everyone who's in the calendar invite. And also there are legal implications of the recordings if you have not gotten permission from everyone in the group to record. So AI meeting assistant summary, we'll just summarize this. It can be very off topic. They often take small discussions and highlight them as very large talking points like the weather. They can include hallucinations. As we know, when AI first came out, we saw some of that. They're getting better, but sometimes that can happen. and they make predictions or they infer how participants are feeling, and they include that in the summary. So it can be a little off-putting when you see your name and what you thought or did, and that wasn't actually true.
Okay, so let me talk about some meeting guidelines that we suggest for meeting hosts. So whether you're using the Zoom AI companion or you're using the Otter AI, you should always tell participants that you're turning AI on. Now, if you're in Zoom and you're using the Zoom AI, just as part of your regular meeting, it does come up as a message at the top of the screen. But I'll be honest with you, it's a small message. People might be rushed in the meeting, and a lot of us do that. You don't read the message, just click OK, and you're not really paying attention to it. So I always like to tell people verbally, remind them, ideally before the meeting, that AI will be turned on for it. Even if you do not want AI turned on for your meeting, if somebody does have an accommodation with OASID, and you can check with OASID, then, and if that's their accommodation that they need a meeting assistant, then it needs to be turned on. If you're using it in a classroom, if you're teaching online, or if you have a synchronous session online, it's a good idea. It could promote a class discussion about the concerns and benefits of AI meeting assistants. I have heard from students who say they do like AI meeting assistants. And I'll be honest with you, we get, as Zoom admins, we get a list of the types of apps that people are requesting to add on to Zoom. And a lot of them are for AI meeting summaries. So students like them, even if they're in the meeting and they're taking their own notes, it's just, they feel like it's a backup, or if they miss something, they like to be able to look through the meeting summary. So if you decide that you don't want a meeting assistant in your room, if it's Otter is an example that we have here at TC. As I said, anybody can get Otter. It doesn't necessarily mean it's somebody with an accommodation. There are other AI meeting assistants that are out there. And so the way that you can control it, if you're a host, is that you could put a waiting room on all of your meetings. But then it's an additional step that you have to take. You'd have to look through and see and let people in who are the people, and leave all of the AI bots in the waiting room. But again, that is an extra step that you can take. If you decide not to do that, or if you miss it and a bot comes in, and what Robbie had showed you on the previous slide, it shows up on the panel. So the person's name is there, and then their AI meeting assistant is a separate person, almost. It appears as a person, a participant in the meeting. So you can click on them and you can remove them from the meeting, just like you can remove any other participant in a meeting. The other guideline or recommendation that I would have is to keep the default as it is right now, and not to necessarily share your recordings with people by default. Allow the summaries and the recordings initially only for the host, and then you as a host edit it before you do the distributing. Guidelines for meeting participants. Respect others' privacy. I would say get consent, especially from the host, just to ask if it is something that they would be okay with a meeting assistant in, and follow the host guideline. If the host says no meeting assistants, then you need to follow those recommendations. Robbie?
Yes, so TC, OASID at TC provides Otter AI licenses to individuals who register with our office, OASID, and who need Otter as an accommodation. So if you do need Otter as an accommodation and you're in a meeting, we do ask that you talk with the host beforehand to let them know that you have this accommodation and you would like to use it during the meeting. And if there is any conversation that you need support with, you can talk with our office and we can help with that conversation. So we've listed out here this link to Otter as an accommodation at TC. If you are a TC staff or student, you can click on that link and see those guidelines. So AI companion in Zoom is limited here on campus. Is that right? Is that right, Debbie? People have access to the companion here
Right, but
at
there are
TC.
some pieces of it that aren't available because we're education customer. And healthcare providers have some limits on theirs as well, so.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, so that's what the link there is showing you what those limitations are.
Right.
And that again is controlled by the meeting host. So it's not all of those features that will be available in every meeting because the host may have some limitations on what they're allowing in the meeting. And also there's a link there for TC generative AI guidelines. I believe that is available for anyone to access that link.
Yeah, I think that's public as well. You can
Mhm.
one. Okay. Wow, we finished early, Robbie. So thank you so much for attending. And look forward to seeing you at some of the ones we have in the future.
Thank you
Thank-
all.